Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to the School of Administration. My name is Bevan Hlumelo from New Gates Ministry Consult. And today, once again, I'm with William from Disciplesoft. William, welcome.
Thank you very much, Bevan.
Great to have you again, William.
Thank you very much for having me again.
Great stuff. We're continuing with our conversation, dealing with the issue of having clarity and understanding of the relationship between the church and technology, something that is, of necessity for us to actually have a conversation in right now. So I'm excited that we're proceeding with our interview, and I have a couple of questions for you. Already you have got us to, appreciate and understand, how actually technology plays a role in the church. But there are quite a number of things, William, that you brought to attention to us, really, pertaining to the challenges that churches have currently, particularly the issues of engagement. And one of the things that you made an emphasis of is that the challenge with engagement in the church is there because most pastors actually don't know their members.
That's correct. That's very true.
Right. And I want us to dig in a bit in line with that subject, with that topic, because I think one of the things you made an emphasis of again last time is that churches really need to have an accurate database system, right? Member database system. So I want us to talk a bit more in line with that, William. So I have a couple of questions pertaining to exactly, how churches can actually get to build their member database, membership, right? Database, right? We want to try to figure out how exactly can a pastor in, a church anywhere in Africa, anywhere in the world can be able to kick off from that. So are you ready for the couple of questions I have for you?
Super ready. Let's get it on.
Great stuff. So the first thing, William, I just want to get to appreciate and understand what really is an accurate and complete member database. What really does it entail?
Right, Bev, what an accurate and complete database really of your membership is that you need to be able to collect all the information around your membership, not part of the information. Okay. Usually there are things that actually, these are the common mistakes that most of the church leaders do. Whenever they request their members to actually do a registration process, either a small fraction of the people do that voluntarily, which is about 20% of the church members, they actually get to do that. And even when they do that, the tools that they use to collect information, really sometimes it's not complete. It's maybe a couple of, details that they request from their membership, which then makes it very difficult for them if they're going to be shepherding. So complete and accurate membership registration is now when you have all your members registered and when you're also able to collect most important information about your members.
All right. I get you. Now, for someone who's like joining us for the first time and listening to us as we're having this conversation, can you just try to shed some light pertaining to the importance of a member database for a church, like when it comes to a church establishing a digital church? What's the importance of a member database?
Right. The importance of a database is that, number one, it is the genesis of your operations. Really, it is exactly where the church operations begin. In other words, if you don't know them, then you can't manage them. Okay. Right. Okay. So the importance of a database is that this is where your work really starts from. Whatever decision they're going to make about your church members is going to depend on the information that you have about your members. You're also able to track issues of growth. In all different dimensions of growth. Sometimes we lose members, in the churches, but we can't track them because sometimes we don't even know, how many members we have. So that is why it's very important for church leaders to actually have, member databases. It's not mainly about just the excitement of counting people and so forth. It's really about shepherding them. It's about looking after them.
Yeah. So that becomes the foundation. Like you really have to have at least a database where you have everybody registered so that you can know them. Okay, that's correct. That's great, William. Now I'm just thinking, the process of it would really require you, like the registration thing that you've mentioned, you really have to get people connected to actually go through the process of registration. Now, I have a feeling that, you know, some churches obviously have experienced this. Some people might not be interested in participating in that, you know,
That's true.
getting to give out their information. How does a church really go past that?
That one is one of the biggest challenges, Bevan. Really, that is why it forms the crux of the matter.
Yeah.
If you don't, if your members cannot give you their details, it means it's just as short of a vote of no confidence. One thing that you understand is that it's a lot of work that, you know, as leaders, they need to communicate very well, talk about it more consistently. It's not a touch and go scenario.
Right.
It's an investment that, you know, that has to be, you know, done by the leadership. But what you also notice about people as you know, members of the church, that is, they can voluntarily give some of this information to supermarkets, you know, to retail, you know, places where they're actually getting credit. But then it becomes very difficult to volunteer this information to their church leaders. It must be a question to us as leaders. If our people cannot give us that information, what does that say about us, you know, as a church? Yeah. But, you know, basically, this is not a very easy process, but it's a process that must be done, and enough investment must actually be, you know, it must be done, you know, in collecting member information.
So once you like commit yourself and explain yourself, you can actually get to do this well.
That's correct. The mistake that we have seen most of the church leaders doing is that they don't, it's not a well considered, you know, activity that they have to go through. They don't communicate it very well. They are not consistent in their efforts. You can't just maybe in one service talk about membership and then you forget about it. It's something that you need to continuously do with the old members, and even as a culture, when new people actually come into the church, there has to be a system of ensuring that you are accounting for the people that you're leading.
That's great, William. Now, in a case where, like, currently most you know, countries, because of the current COVID-19 crisis, most countries are on lockdown, whether full, complete lockdown or partial lockdown. So you'd realize that most churches actually aren't meeting. For those that are meeting, they actually have, you know, a structure whereby not really everybody is coming through to church. But now this whole process requires you to actually register everybody. So how do you get it done if you are in such a scenario whereby you're not really meeting everybody physically?
Right. We are living in the 21st century where we actually, you know, technology is making things better for us. You can be able to have your members registering remotely. We have what we call the electronic member registration systems, and we have one that we actually have, you know, developed. That's called Gather, that we spoke about in the previous interview. Yes. So that should be, you know, a tool or a conduit that should be used by the church leaders, you know, to register. There is a common mistake that most of the church leaders might actually commit, especially for somebody who's listening to this message now, and they're thinking, no, look, you know, we're not meeting. Maybe the best thing is that I need to stand in front of my church members, give them a physical form, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. We don't know how this lockdown is going to, you know, how long it's going to last. But what you want to be doing right now is to shepherding your people. You need to be building a database right now. So that is why we have got tools like Gather that will actually get to help your members to be able to, you know, church members to be able to do electronic registration.
Wow. That's really great. And, you know, besides the current crisis that we're in, the period that we're in, really, even, you know, in during the normal seasons, not everybody comes to church on a day-to-day basis.
That's very true.
Or
That's
even,
very true.
I beg your pardon, week-to-week basis. Some people don't even come actually even on a month-to-month basis. So I feel like the way you're presenting this this Gather tool, it's actually going to be something that is significant even post-COVID era, right? This is something that's going to be useful. That's going to be useful. No,
that's very true.
Yeah. You wanted to weigh in something on that?
I wanted to weigh in something, Bevan. We have a young generation of people that hate paper. We are going paperless.
Right.
And like what you're saying, even after, you know, the COVID period, there are some people that would actually just prefer, you know, to log in, download something and quickly fill in a form electronically without having to do it manually. So that is actually, you know, Gather does that.
Right, right, right. That's great stuff, William. Now, for like again, I said earlier on, somebody might be listening to us for the first time. Please tell us a bit more about what Disciplesoft is doing, or offering actually for pastors in and around Africa with regards to Gather.
Right. We as our contribution to the body of Christ, we are actually giving Gather free of charge. We are simply saying that church leaders can be able to register their members, on the database so that they can be able to start walking this journey of digitalization free of charge.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what we're doing currently during this COVID period.
Right. So basically their next step is for them to be able to access this app, and we're going to make the details available for them, right?
Very correct.
So that they can
Very
be able
correct.
to go through. Great stuff,
Sure.
William. Thank you so much for making time for us to have this discussion. And I do believe everybody who's actually listening and watching this, they've actually got an understanding of the importance of a database system for their church, so that they can be able to do their work of ministry in the rightful way, to be able to shepherd their people, to be able to engage their people the rightful way. So thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to still continue with these interviews with William so that we can get to understand much more in line with how best we can build a digital church. So far, we've got this foundation of how you can actually create a database. And in the next session, we are going to be, I think, getting in a bit more into the process of actually doing that, appreciating the steps that one has to take in order to structure out this system or these tools that we are getting to appreciate and understand. William, once again, thank you so much for making time.
Thank you very much, Bev.
Great. And everybody, thank you. We're going to catch up with you in the next recording. God bless you.